What if I told you that the reason you're still not fluent has nothing to do with your vocabulary, your grammar, or even how many English classes you've taken? What if the real problem is happening in a place you've never even looked? Right now, somewhere in your brain, there's an invisible translator sitting between you and every single word you speak. You hear a question in English, you understand it. But before you can answer, that little translator jumps in, converts it into your native language, thinks of the answer, translates it back into English. And by the time you open your mouth, 3 seconds have already passed. The other person is waiting. You feel your face get warm. And in that moment, you don't feel like someone who knows English. You feel like someone who's failing at it. Sound familiar? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You can memorize 10,000 words, master every grammar rule in every textbook, and still freeze in a real conversation, because the problem was never what you know. It's how your brain is using it. So today we're going to fire that translator. Not slow it down, not manage it better, fire it completely. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how to switch off that internal translation habit and start thinking directly in English, even if your English is still simple, even if you still make mistakes. I'm not going to give you another grammar lesson. I'm not going to hand you a list of 500 words to memorize. Instead, I'm going to show you why your brain currently defaults to translation and the exact shift that changes it, a shift most learners never even know exists, because every course they've taken focused on the wrong problem entirely. This isn't about learning more English. It's about learning to use the English you already have. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside your head. When you learned your native language as a child, nobody taught you grammar first. Nobody handed you a vocabulary list. You heard sounds, you connected them directly to real things, a cup, a dog, your mother's face, and your brain built a direct line between the word and the meaning. No translation. No middle step, just word equals thing. But when most of us learn English as adults, we learn it backwards. We see the English word hungry, and instead of connecting it to the feeling of hunger, we connect it to a word in our own language. So now every time you want to say you're hungry, your brain has to travel through a longer road. English word, your language, meaning your language, English word, that's not 1 step, that's 4. Now imagine doing that 4-step journey for every single word, in every single sentence in real time, while another person is standing in front of you waiting for an answer. No wonder it feels exhausting. No wonder you freeze. This is the real reason fluency feels so far away. Not because you don't know enough, but because your brain is taking the longest possible route to say the simplest possible thing. And here's what's fascinating. This isn't a permanent condition. It's a habit. And habits, unlike talent, can be rebuilt. The goal isn't to translate faster. The goal is to remove the translation step completely, to connect English words directly to meaning, feeling, and image, the exact same way you did with your first language as a child. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I've tried thinking in English before. I sat there trying to force English thoughts into my head, and honestly, it felt fake, forced, like I was performing instead of actually communicating. Here's why that attempt failed, and it's not your fault. Most people try to think in English by translating their thoughts faster. They're still doing the 4-step journey, they've just sped it up a little. That's not thinking in English. That's just very fast translating. And no matter how fast you get at it, it will always feel effortful because you're still doing 4 steps instead of 1. Real thinking in English doesn't come from speed. It comes from repetition of direct connection, training your brain, again and again, in small daily moments, to skip the translation step entirely and go straight from the world around you to the English word for it. Think about it this way. A professional pianist doesn't think this key equals this note equals this sound. Their fingers just move. Why? Because they didn't learn by translating notes into thoughts every single time. They built direct, physical connection through repetition until the thinking disappeared completely. Your brain can do the exact same thing with English, but only if you stop asking it to translate and start asking it to connect directly, every day, in small, low-pressure moments, until direct connection becomes the new default. And here's the part that should genuinely excite you. This isn't about being naturally gifted at languages. It's not about age, and it's not about how smart you are with grammar. It's simply about repetition in the right direction. Which means if you felt discouraged, if you felt like maybe you're just not a language person, that was never true. You were just practicing the wrong skill. So now the real question is, How do you actually build this direct connection in real life, without spending hours studying, without moving to another country, without feeling awkward or forced? That's exactly what I'm going to show you next. With real, specific examples you can literally start using in the next 5 minutes of your day. Let's make this real. Not theory, real moments from your actual day, starting tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, when you pick up your coffee or tea, don't just drink it. Pause for 2 seconds and ask yourself, what's the English word for this feeling right now? Maybe it's warm. Maybe it's bitter. Maybe you'd say, this is exactly what I needed. Notice you didn't translate that sentence from your language. You built it directly from the moment. That's the whole method, happening in 3 seconds with zero effort, zero classroom, zero pressure. Now here's a question worth sitting with. How many moments like this do you have every single day, moments you're already living, already feeling, that you could be silently turning into English for free without anyone even knowing you're practicing? You're walking or waiting for a bus or sitting in traffic. Instead of scrolling your phone out of boredom, look at one object near you and let a full sentence build itself. Not car, a translator would stop there. Instead, that car is going way too fast. Or, I wonder where that woman is going. You're not being tested. Nobody's grading this. You're simply letting your brain touch English directly, the same way a child touches a hot stove and instantly connects. Hot to the feeling. No translation required ever again. Here's one people don't expect. Think of a small annoyance from your day, someone cut in line, your Wi-Fi is slow, your neighbor's music is too loud. In your mind, argue about it in English, not politely, really argue. Why is he doing that? This is so annoying. I can't believe this. Why does this work so well? Because emotion is the shortcut past your translator. When you're frustrated, bored, excited, or amused, your brain reaches for meaning first and words follow naturally, which is exactly the direct connection we're trying to build. Strong emotion doesn't slow this process down, it speeds it up. Before bed, look in the mirror for 30 seconds and describe your day in English out loud or in your head. Not a perfect summary, just a few honest sentences. Today was tiring. I didn't finish everything, but I'm still here, still trying. This is the moment most learners skip because it feels too simple to matter. But simple, repeated daily is precisely what rewires a habit. You're not preparing for a test. You're teaching your brain that English is a language for your real life, not just a subject you study. Now here's a challenge for you right now before you keep watching. Pick just one of these 4 moments, the coffee, the traffic, the small argument, or the mirror, and commit to it tomorrow. Not all 4, just one. Which one do you think fits naturally into your day? Hold that answer in your mind because I want you to tell me in the comments. Let's bring this all together. You are not failing at English because you don't know enough words. You're struggling because your brain has been taking the long road, translating instead of connecting directly, the exact opposite of how you learned your first language as a child. Thinking in English isn't a talent. It's not something only language people can do. It's a rebuilt habit formed through small, repeated, low-pressure moments. Your coffee, your walk, your frustrations, your quiet moments in front of the mirror. You don't need to think in perfect English. You don't need long, impressive sentences. You need direct sentences, simple, honest, and yours. And the moment this shift really takes hold, you'll notice something almost strange. Someone asks you a question, and the English answer is just there. No translating, no delay, no warm face, no racing heart. Just you speaking the same way you speak in your own language, automatically, naturally, without thinking about thinking. That moment isn't years away. For some of you, it's weeks away. For some, it's already starting tonight with your very next cup of coffee. If this video shifted something for you, even a little, do one simple thing before you go. Scroll down and tell me which of the 4 examples you're trying first. The coffee cup, the traffic light, the small argument, or the mirror confession. I read every comment, and honestly, I want to know which one clicks for you, because your answer might be exactly what someone else scrolling through the comments needs to hear today. And if you want more real, practical ways to actually think in English, not just study it, hit subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel is built around. No perfect grammar, no pressure, just real progress, one honest moment at a time. If this helped you see your English in a new way, a like helps this reach someone else who's stuck exactly where you were 5 minutes ago. See you in the next one, and remember, you don't need to translate this feeling. You already understood it directly.